Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So we're going to go into lesson 34 where we're going to be covering Ism Tafdheel. I think this might be our fifth or sixth derived noun that we're looking at. Just as a review, derived nouns are essentially nouns that are taken from verbs and they're placed on a particular pattern. Right? And then through that pattern we produce different meanings, whether it be turning something into a tool by putting it on the pattern of Mafatihun, or putting it onto the pattern of maf'alun, which would produce something that occurs with time and space, or putting it onto the pattern of fa'il, which would produce the meaning of something being an attribute, right? So these are different patterns that we've looked at. Now we're going to delve into a new pattern, and it's known as Ism Tafdheel. So Ism Tafdheel is a particular type of derived noun which literally means to give superiority, right? And it has two main usages. So Ism Tafdheel is used for comparing two objects, or comparing an object to everything that could have that potential quality that they're being compared about, right? Let's just take a deeper look at these. So comparative. What's happening here is that you're comparing two entities and showing that one is better than the other. An example of this in English is, he is better than us, right? We're comparing him to us, right? These entities are now being compared, and it's clear that he is better than us, right? So when it comes to comprehensive, which is quite different, there are two scenarios that apply for comprehensive. So comprehensive, which can also be known as superlative, compares one entity in regards to a particular trait to everything that could have that trait. It is the highest degree of this trait. And the classic example of this is Allah is the greatest, right? Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest compared to anything that could have even an amount of greatness in it, right? Or anything that could even try to compare. He's the absolute greatest. He's at the top. Superlative, right? So in this case, Allah is the only one with the highest level of greatness. There's nothing that can compare, right? And the second scenario for comprehensive is when it can be used to compare an entity to a specific category or group. So in the case of Allah is the greatest, he's not necessarily being compared to a specific category or group. He's being compared to everything, and we're saying that he is the greatest. In comprehensive, the second scenario, that entity is being compared to a specific group or category of things that have that trait. So example is, Zayd is the biggest of people, right? So out of all the people, Zayd is the biggest. Right? It's now being limited to a category or entity. The most common patterns of Ism Tafdheel is af'alu, right? That is the most common pattern. And some examples here. So kabura, which means to be or become great, becomes akbar, which is greater or greatest, right? Depending if you want to use comparative or superlative. Then alima, which is to know, becomes a'lamu, which is more knowledgeable or most knowledgeable. And that is the most common pattern, af'alu. Right. Assalamu alaikum.